Hoping to sway the swayable, Taiwan's presidential candidates play for the swing voters they hope can help them to victory. In memes we trust, how this election is being fought online. A week on in Japan, a woman is pulled alive from the wreckage of a 7.6 magnitude earthquake. Plus, athletes from more than 20 countries brave strong winds to run a marathon on a Taiwanese island. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Betty Chen. Taiwan's 2024 presidential race is in its final week. With little time to persuade swing voters, the three candidates are starting to shape their closing pitches. John Van Tres has this election update.
On the campaign trail, there's still time for a few more photo ops, but not many. Saturday is Election Day, when Taiwan picks its next president. And so the three candidates are choosing their parting words before handing it over to voters. They've all picked some challenging terrain. As part of his final pitch, the Democratic Progressive Party's Lai Ching-te made 4 rapid-fire stops in different regions of the country Sunday. Though his party's held the presidency for 8 years, Lai's message is that he won't just bring 4 more years of the same. It's something he's especially tried to drive home in Taoyuan, in Taiwan's north. The city is home to many immigrants and second-generation Taiwanese, and is traditionally a tough place for his party to crack. Lai's 2 rivals have headed south to the city of Kaohsiung. It's a stronghold for Lai's party, but in 2018 it went sharply to the opposition, showing it is possible to flip. The Kuomintang's candidate, Ho Yo-i, has zoomed in on issues he thinks will win him points in this important city, especially the death penalty, something Taiwan's voters widely support. Ho has an important backer in this city, the man behind the historic 2018 flip, former Mayor Han Kuo-yu. Though Han lost a recall vote, he still carries political weight and could boost opposition turnout. But this won't be a repeat of 2018. A new force, the Taiwan People's Party, has split the opposition. It has its own base, and its leaders are even questioning where Han's loyalties really lie. Taiwan's laws don't allow the release of any public polls so close to the election. So the only way to gauge the impact of these final appeals will be to see how people vote on Election Day. In these final days, the three candidates can only hope to sway the swayable, and that the number of undecided voters they can win over will be enough to push them over the finish line. Justin Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Permanent housing is looking increasingly out of reach for Taiwan's young people. According to new data, nearly 51% of mortgages in the first 3 quarters of 2023 went to people over the age of 40. That's up more than 7 percentage points from the same period in 2012. The data also shows that house prices in Taiwan have risen a whopping 66% over the past decade. The rising cost of living and the skyrocketing cost of housing has been a key election issue, especially for the younger generation. Attending rallies is still a big part of election season in Taiwan and around the world, but there's also the world of social media. And for any candidate wanting to connect with younger voters, the world of social is key. Sally Jensen reports.
What do cat warriors, Taylor Swift, and Psyduck have in common? They all feature in Taiwan's upcoming national elections as candidates vie for the youth vote. It's now common for politicians in Taiwan to have meme alter egos. Ruling Democratic Progressive Party presidential candidate Lai Ching-te is the dog to running mate Bi Kim-hsiao's cat warrior, both cuddly contrasts to the wolf warrior character representing China, which constantly harasses Taiwan geopolitically.
The cat warrior symbol really serves to, I think, symbolize, one, the kind of strong but not aggressive attitude of Taiwan's diplomacy.
Meanwhile, the main opposition Kuomintang's meme game has not been as strong. Detractors have characterized the party's candidate Hou Youyi as a monkey, a pun on his name. Recently, his running mate politicized international superstar Taylor Swift to criticize the DPP, claiming she didn't want to come perform in Taiwan over concerns of a Chinese invasion. Meanwhile, Ke Wen-de of the Third Force Taiwan People's Party is hitting the streets with his Pokemon alter ego Psyduck, whose Chinese name is a pun on his own, and they look similar as well. Of the three candidates, he has the biggest following on social media and is popular among 20 to 40-year-olds.
One of the reasons I think is because he is very effective in communication. He's very good at public speaking that can appeal to young voters.
But just using memes and internet clout to try to engage with young Taiwanese voters may not work out as intended.
I would say Taiwanese young voters are just like young voters everywhere in the world. They are not homogeneous.
The question is whether online popularity will translate into votes. And for many young people here, there are other issues on their minds.
These housing issues, home ownership, inflation, energy prices increase and all that, these are the needs at home that need to be addressed.
With just days left until voters go to the polls, Taiwan's politicians are ramping up efforts to connect with the younger generation. But with economic concerns high on the agenda, it may well be concrete policies and not memes that steal the show. Andy Xue and Sally Jensen in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's general election is just days away, and on TaiwanPlus News, we're looking at what voters here care about in our election series, The Real Issues. It's clear the youth vote will play a key role in determining who will become Taiwan's next president. But just what do young voters want? Let's hear what some of them had to say.
是希望就是投票，然后新的总统可以让台湾的经济变得更往前。因为我觉得今年的疫情“缺”这个字真的是太重要，缺工这个字太重要，所以导致大家很多人都没有工作，或者是很多人都往国外去工作了。
我自己可能只是觉得过去8年都同一个政府执政，有点无聊了吧？感觉来点变化，看看新的人做的怎么样，这样对期待感。我觉得 健康一点的环境应该是要固定会有轮替吧。
就是针对房价的议题啊，租屋政策，现在有很多的建商嘛在炒地皮，我觉得人民也越来越没有能力去负担房子，它有点像奢侈品了，它不是生活东西了。
I really hope that Taiwan can stay like this. For example, we just passed the same-sex marriage. We are trying to make Taiwan like more green, using more like green energy. I think all these directions are correct. This is what I hope, not only like to keep Taiwan free, but also to build a more open society, a better future for our next generation. And to me, these issues are also very crucial.
投票的时候，我比较在乎的是要有制衡的力道，因为我认为民主选举必须要有不同的声音呈现在国会殿堂里面，它不可以全部都是同一方的声音。
我刚当爸爸没有很久，那可能我看的会比较在意就是年轻人或是小孩子的部分，对，就是政策可能对于年轻人啊，或是对于小孩未来的教育，或是在台湾的整个社会发展上有注意的，我会比较愿意投给他这样子。
To find out more about how Taiwan's politicians are trying to engage with younger voters, Sally Jensen spoke to Sydney Yue, an associate teaching professor with the Department of Communication at the University of Missouri.
How are Taiwan's political parties trying to reach out to and engage with younger voters? And is it persuasive enough to win them over?
All the parties try to reach out the young voters because they think they are the key voters and they can influence the election results. They will create memes, they create short short clips, and they will like join or participate some like social media influencers shows. So they try very hard to reach out all these young voters and try to make themselves popular and interesting.
Many of these candidates have a huge social media following. How have the spread of the internet and short form videos changed the landscape of this particular election cycle from previous ones?
4 years ago, I guess not all the parties wanted to use social media, but this time you can see all the major parties or even the minor, smaller parties use social media. This has definitely changed the traditional political campaign. Now, I guess every party will distribute their budget, and the social media is a must.
Taiwan's elections are often seen as a referendum on relations with China. How much of a role do you think China is playing in these elections?
China factor definitely influenced our election very much. Although this year there is no kind of a very salient one issue. However, we can see that China tries to influence the social media, how perceive the candidates' information through TikTok, and those informations probably will be very different from like a Facebook, IG, or other major social medias in Taiwan.
That was Sally Yensen talking to Sydney Yue from the University of Missouri. As campaigning draws to a close, the candidates' stances are under scrutiny, especially their policies involving China. With opposition parties talking of restarting trade talks with Beijing, activists are speaking out. Tiffany Wong reports.
坚持太阳花精神，坚持太阳花精神，反对重启服贸货贸，反对重启服贸货贸。
With Taiwan's presidential elections just days away, leaders of the 2014 student movement against the Cross-strait trade agreement are warning Taiwan's next leader not to increase trade ties with China. It's been almost 10 years since these Sunflower Movement protesters first occupied Taiwan's legislative yuan for 23 days, effectively stopping the Cross-strait service trade agreement from being implemented.
因为我们挡下服贸协议，所以今天我们的经济才没有随着中国经济的崩溃而崩坏，也才有机会布局全球，我们的经济自主才没有被中国掏空。
Now, China policy has been a hot topic during the presidential debates, with two of the presidential candidates, Hou You-yi of the Kuomintang and Ko Wen-je of the Taiwan People's Party, saying that they would restart talks with China if elected. However, Lai Ching-te of the incumbent Democratic Progressive Party has said that he wants to diversify Taiwan's economic ties with other countries. And which direction the future of cross-strait trade relations takes is all up for Taiwan's voters to decide when they take to the polls. Chris Ma and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, cosplay in the cold? Brave cosplayers take on a city better known for its sub-zero temperatures. Take a look after the break.
I'm Leslie Liao in New York City, and this is TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia. We bring you stories from Taiwan.
Every day of the week.
Our reporters travel the nation.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
News from here in Taiwan and around the world.
What's up, Taiwan? On TaiwanPlus.
For more news from Taiwan and around the world, go to TaiwanPlus.com and download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Teams of rescuers are searching for survivors of an earthquake that rocked western Japan last Monday. Rosie Greninger has the story.
A week since a devastating earthquake struck Japan's west coast. A miracle. Rescuers pulling a woman in her 90s alive from the wreckage of her two-story building. The woman responsive but suffering from hypothermia, transported to hospital from the town of Zuzu. Another woman in her 40s found dead at the same site. The death toll in the Ishikawa prefecture has reached at least 126 people, and thousands more are injured after the 7.6 magnitude earthquake rocked the country, destroying homes, blocking off towns, and snapping links to power and water.
県道の瓦礫がそのままですもんね。県道の瓦礫がそのままあって道路が使えない状態です。
Nearly 100,000 residents have been evacuated, but rescuers are still scouring affected areas, searching for more than 200 people still missing from the disaster. They're facing dangerous conditions with rain and cold fronts predicted, which could trigger further landslides. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio vowed to take urgent measures to aid residents and rescuers.
例えば毛布や燃料のといった物資の確保などですね、対応を至急進めていきたいと考えています。現地と連携を取りながら必要な対応を取ってまいります。
And residents left homeless and without access to electricity or clean water say the aid can't come soon enough.
来てるとそんなに十分な物資は食べ物も来ていないですし、聞いたところに珠洲では1日パン半分というふうなことも聞いてますので、もっともっと物資のを届けていただきたいな、食べ物もたくさんいただきたいなと思っています。
As the search enters its 8th day and with dangerous weather conditions outlooked, rescuers are racing against time to find survivors. Luffy Lin and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has told Arab leaders that Washington will not support the forced displacement of Palestinians from Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Blinken made comments in Doha, where he's been meeting Qatari officials.
Palestinian civilians must be able to return home as soon as conditions allow. They cannot, they must not be pressed to leave Gaza. We reject the statements by some Israeli ministers and lawmakers calling for a resettlement of Palestinians outside of Gaza.
Blinken is touring the region amid fears the war on Gaza could lead to a broader regional conflict. Israel has waged a 3-month military campaign on Gaza following an attack by Hamas on October 7th last year. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, many of them children. China has announced sanctions on 5 U.S. defense manufacturers in response to the latest round of arms sales to Taiwan. The U.S. is Taiwan's largest provider of weapons and defense systems. Last month, the State Department approved a $300 million sale of equipment to help maintain Taiwan's tactical information systems. Beijing views arms sales as interference in its domestic affairs. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has won a fifth term in office in an election that was boycotted by the opposition. Turnout was around 40% according to the Election Commission, with reports of empty polling stations. The 76-year-old has been credited with turning the country's economy around, but her critics accuse her of human rights violations, crackdowns on free speech, and suppression of dissent. Cosplay, or dressing up as fictional characters, is popular in East Asia, but now it's spreading to a city where you'd think people would just want to dress a bit warmer. Louise Watt reports.
Not the type of padded winter clothing tourists usually wear in one of China's coldest cities. These visitors are braving sub-zero temperatures to bring cosplay to Harbin in the country's far northeast.
不冷吗？冷，冷，但是为了美，冷。
Cosplay, or costume play, where fans role-play as characters from films, books and video games, is popular in China's big urban cities. But now it's spreading to this city, better known for its annual Festival of Ice Sculptures, and where temperatures can drop as low as -35 degrees Celsius. Harbin's former Russian Orthodox church is now the backdrop for photo shoots of more human angels.
有在那个各种媒体平台看到各种这种哈尔滨的宣传，还有文旅的这种相关的宣传，然后所以就是他们的宣传也有一定的作用，所以更想来看一看。
One makeup and photo shoot store estimates that hundreds of such businesses have opened in the last 3 months due to the demand.
觉得难的是，就是有的时候客人来了加不进去，拍不到，因为客人这话就是一直在不断的增多。
Harbin's peak tourist season is its coldest, but after the Ice and Snow Festival packs up this year, the city may see tourists in all kinds of elaborate costumes in warmer months too. Devon Tsai and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Hualien County in eastern Taiwan is expanding an eco-friendly farming project after seeing their early efforts bear fruit. Yujing Huang has more.
Learning to be guardians of nature. These farmers are practicing an environmentally friendly farming method to attract endangered animal species back to their original habitats. This is a part of a government project in Taiwan's eastern county of Hualien. Farmers are compensated for taking part in conservation efforts. Nearly 300 farmers have helped restore land over the past 3 years, which has led to several native species of wildlife returning.
农民他有记录到像食蛇龟、彩冠龟、环颈雉、石蟹獴等。那其实农民他不只透过这样子的营造生产农作物之外，那他也可以让这些自然生态跟野生动物共存，也创造更多的生物多样性的可能。
With the early success of this scheme, authorities are expanding the project to more farms in Hualien. Farmers who sign up have to agree to keep water in their fields year-round and not use herbicides, poison, or bird nets. If they use pesticides, those have to meet safety standards. If they can tick all these boxes, farmers will receive subsidies called an ecological salary.
水梯田的话，1年1公顷会有3万元的奖励。那如果说是水田的话，会有2万元的奖励。经过这3年的辅导，农民开始认知到一般的农业生产经济的行为以外，还可以有更多关于生态跟友善地球、友善这个土地的一些做法。
Since 2021, a total of 261 hectares of farmland have been made more welcoming for wildlife. A positive start towards a brighter future for native species. Ryan Wu and Yujing Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Thousands of competitors from around the world spend 2 days running across Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands. Harrell Hughes reports on this annual marathon.
And they're off. 2 days and 42 kilometers around Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands in the 2024 Kinmen Marathon. Nearly 3,000 runners from 22 countries competed in the marathon and half-marathon races, battling strong winds from an approaching monsoon.
上金门大桥那个风很大，这次真的很好跑，很舒服。
The setting for this two-day race, Kinmen, sitting just 10 kilometers away from the eastern coast of China, and offers competitors a chance to learn more about the island's history and natural beauty.
风稍微有点变强哈，变大，所以有点挑战。不过我发觉这个整个赛道还有整个这个路线的规划，还是都十分的完善。那我相信呢，跑友来这边也可以享受到金门很多的这一种美景。
The islands are also home to several military bases. And this year, members of the Marines' elite 101st Amphibious Reconnaissance Battalion, also known as the Sea Dragon Frogmen, joined the race. This year's marathon was held a week earlier than usual to accommodate Taiwan's elections on January 13th. But the earlier date and the wind did not impact these runners' enthusiasm. Devin Tsai and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, take a look at these pictures from the Blacks and Whites Carnival in Colombia. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.